Hi, class. My name is Ryan. I live in the great state of Texas, and I'm currently enrolled in the master's program for counseling at Liberty University in hopes of obtaining my master's degree in addiction counseling. I've been asked to come online today and to share my views and understandings with an informed consent document, and then compare and contrast it with the ACA Code of Ethics, as well as my local or state rules and regulations, which in the state of Texas, it's known as Title 22. I recently found an informed consent document online for a counseling center out of Austin, Texas called Plumeria Counseling Center. And my initial reaction to the document is that it's very straightforward, it's very easy to understand, and I really have no issues with the document itself except for two major points that I'd like to get to in just a moment. But first, the overview of services of the client agreement informed consent document I found is very straightforward and easy to understand, and then goes into benefits and risks of counseling as a whole. It then talks about the confidentiality agreement between the counselor and the client. And then it goes into fees, payments, and cancellations of appointments, as well as continuation of care and the grievance and complaint process with Plumeria Counseling Center. This brings me back to the 2 points or the two issues that I have with this document. The first is underneath their heading of termination. It says counseling is voluntary, which I agree with. Both you and your therapist reserve the right to transfer or terminate service at any time for any reason. It's those last three words that bother me. For any reason. It makes me automatically think about our duties as a counselor of being able to deal with our own personal reasons, our own personal issues, and to not transfer or to terminate our relationship with a client based on our personal values or our ethics. If you look in our textbook under on page 64 and 65, it talks about racism, sexism, socioeconomic status, ableism, ageism. Those are all factors that we have to deal with as counselors when we're dealing with a client. And this statement that you can terminate or transfer or refer a client for any reason at all just does not sit well with me. If you look at the Code of Ethics under Section A11 under terminations and referrals, it specifically states that the reason or the way that you can refer a client is if the counselor themselves lacks the competency to assist the client. And then it goes further and says that the appropriate way to terminate or the only reasons to terminate a relationship with a client is based on if the client no longer needs assistance, if they are in jeopardy of harming themselves or others, or if the client does not pay their fees. Those are only three ways that you can actually terminate your relationship with a client if one of those three things happen. But this statement of for any reason at all just does not sit well with me. I look at the Title 22 under the Texas Administrative Code, and the first section of that says that we are not to discriminate against clients or withhold professional services from anyone, regardless of age, race, national origin, religion, sex, disability, political affiliation, social economic status, sexual orientation. All of those things could be used to prevent someone, a counselor, from helping a client under this client information or client agreement and informed consent document that I found. And I have an issue with that. The second thing that bothers me about this document is under the therapeutic relationships. Apparently, the therapeutic relationship is a big deal to Plumeria, but not big enough to go as far as I think it should go. It says here that your therapist cannot be expected to be involved in a social relationship or a friendship of any kind that exists outside the therapy room. This doesn't sit well with me either because of the fact that in the ACA Code of Ethics, there's an entire section, A5 through A6, that speaks specifically on sexual relationships with your client. And then if you go over to the Texas Title 22 Administration Code of Ethics, there are 3 pages denoted in the Texas Administration Code that speak specifically to not being able to have sexual contact, to have any gestures, any sexual advancements, demeaning comments, kissing or fondling, or making a request for a date. So I have an issue with a couple of the things with the document that I found. And primarily it's those two. I encourage you to look online at the link below to see the actual informed consent document that I found. And I would love to hear your responses or your feedback as to why I think these two issues should be raised with Plumeria at some point. Thank you so much. Have a blessed day.